Hello everyone, I'm your host Walt Schamel with the Florida Aviation Network. We are broadcasting live from the Aerospace Discovery section of the Florida Air Museum in the Sun and Fun Complex at Lakeland, Florida. This is the 41st annual exposition and fly-in. Our guest today is Brianna McKinney. Brianna, welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing here?
Well, I'm a part of the Florida Aviation also, or the Florida Aviation Network, I should say. And I'm more in the filming area of it rather than the aviation, but I would like to know more about aviation as I go. So I think that I can learn a little bit about it through this.
You'll sure get a lot of exposure here, a tremendous crowd. They've got a job fair going on right now in the building. So in case you want to get a job in the airlines, and not necessarily pilots, they're hiring everybody. You'd probably make a great airline employee, but I understand you're really more interested in another subject.
Yes, and that would be definitely the productions program. I am in love with hosting, making segments, being a reporter, anchoring, filming. I mean, this is probably my second year in TV. I go to Kathleen High School and I'm in that program, and it's a great program. This would be my second year, and I've learned a lot, especially since last year, because I had an amazing teacher. He really invested time into his students, and we learned how to edit, film all in one year. And then that gave me a lot of experience, so I went ahead and jumped to the advanced class. And we've been making short films, music videos, and it's been a really good experience. It's been fun.
You said you were making music videos?
Yes. Our band director, our band director, she writes the songs for us. We have one of our students sing it, and then we create a storyline that goes along with the lyrics that she put, and we make that storyline. It's kind of like, it's like a short film, but without words. Well, it is with words, but the words are in the music.
The educational system has changed a lot since I went through, because I think we spent most of the time reading The Three Little Pigs. So what got you involved with the Florida Aviation Network?
Well, my science teacher, Mr. Rateska, he asked me the first day that I walked in, he said, "What do you want to do for the rest of your life?" And I said, "I want to be a show host or a radio talk show host." And he says, "I've got the thing for you." And he told me about the Florida Aviation Network. And we talked to Obi and Miss Tammy, and they got me involved, and now I'm here.
Great. When you finish high school, what are you going to do after that?
Well, I want to go to either Southeastern University or Full Sail as a college for about 6 years. I want to get my master's degree. My bachelor's. Yes, my bachelor's degree in communication, so that way I can go be a show host, and hopefully I can get into a home and family show, because I want to be a host for one of those type of shows, or a radio talk show host, like I said.
I caught that about going to school for 6 years. Yeah, I went to one of those schools. It was a 4-year degree and 2 years trying to find a place to park.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who have you talked to about promoting aviation safety? And I know that's a little outside of your area of media expertise.
Right. I'm sorry, what do you mean by that though? Like
safety films, discussions. You said you made training videos. Do you make any training videos with Florida Aviation Network?
I've never made any training videos with Florida Aviation Network. No, I have made training videos with, like last year, since I was an upperclassman in middle school. I was in 8th grade, and I made videos on like how to set up the camera, this is more in film. That's more of my area that I know more of. But we made videos on how to edit, how to set up the camera, how to work with exporting, importing, I guess camera shots. There were only certain locations that these kids could go to film, because we've had problems in the past with people going to ag or stuff like that and messing things up. But we taught them how to put like lavaliers on and things like that. So that's really the only like, and safety precautions probably like wrapping up the cords. Right? It's very different from I don't know very much about aviation.
Oh, that's okay, but just the nuts and bolts of the media side.
Right.
Have you had a chance to see the air show?
I did yesterday. After I was done here, I walked around a little bit and I saw some planes flying around until my mom came and got me. But I'm gonna stay for the night show tonight, so I'm very excited about that. I think it's gonna be great.
I think you'll really enjoy the night show. It's a little bit of a misnomer though, because they start the show near dusk.
Right.
Because some of the shows, and specifically Manfred Radius and his glider, you don't see him at night very well. And he's got smoke streaming from the wingtips as he does his aerobatics.
Yeah.
So that'll be most interesting. And it's at sundown.
Yeah.
And then when it gets darker, you'll see a lot of activity up there.
Hopefully it's not cloudy either, or you won't be able to see the, what is it that comes out of the back of the plane? I guess.
The exhaust of the flame from the jets.
Right.
Yeah, they're not like the old jets that used to put out a big flame. Now they use all that energy and don't throw a lot away. Saturday morning, we have the hot air balloon flights, and balloonists, they get up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
They go check the weather and they check the wind and they get their balloon all set up.
Right.
And at official sunrise, they take off and make a short flight. Would you like to go on that?
I actually am planning to. I'm planning to come, and it'll be my first time seeing this type of thing. So I'm very excited, and I'm a little, I don't know what to expect. So I'm just going with like a wide, open mind. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm glad you said that, because I've been a balloon pilot for some 15 years. I never know what to expect. It'll go here, it'll go there, it does its own thing. There's a briefing over in the safety center at 6 o'clock. So if you're over there, I'll get you with one of the crews over there. We'll get you a flight.
Oh boy, that sounds exciting. Oh.
So there's a lot of comradeship in aviation.
Yes.
And you'll run into people all over the world.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily pilots, but like yourself, they may be in the media business, and they get to talk to the crews, people that follow the air shows, because after this one, and this is the spring for pilots, is the buzzword. Well, before you know it, it's time for Oshkosh. It's the end of July. And if you go to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, you'll see another air show, somewhat like this one, but different.
Yeah.
And a lot of interesting people. Will you be able to go to that?
Oh boy, that would be quite the trip. I don't know really. I never actually. This is kind of a little bit of a different topic, but this is my first year at Sun and Fun. This is a brand new experience for me. I've never been to Sun and Fun and lived in Florida all my life. I did get a little tour around the campus and never realized how big this really was. Sun and Fun is a huge thing, and it slipped right by me. So this being my first year, it's been crazy. I didn't know what to expect whenever I came, even though I was in the set for a while, basically all day yesterday. Whenever I got to walk out, I mean, everything was huge. There were so many people. They were having a great time. I mean, it was amazing. I was like, this is crazy. Everyone comes out to see a bunch of planes fly, and whenever you say it, it's kind of like I'm paying money to go see planes, but it's really cool. It's a really cool experience.
This campus, it's amazing how large it is.
Yeah.
And it's all squeezed together. Across the street is the Central Florida Aviation Academy, excellent high school, and they have a lot of aviation. Yes, they teach flying over there. They have a mechanics program, just about anything to do with aviation. They have a dispatcher's program. We have safety programs here year-round. Last fall, there was a Corvette group here, and in February, they have a dog show. And you say, well, how does that apply? It gets people out here to the airport. It gets them involved seeing aviation, and hopefully they'll pick up some interest in it.
Yeah.
And of course, dog's a dog, right?
Right.
Boy, you go to the dog show. I never knew there were that many different kinds of dogs.
Yeah. So until like people can say that they know about planes and like, oh yeah, they're just planes, but once you actually get them out here and they see how many different types of planes and what they all can do, and the different types of like jobs that you can go into plane flying, then it kind of like bubbles that interest up. They're like, oh, there's more. You mean there's more than just driving around in a plane up in the sky. I think that once you pull somebody in, like I was pulled in through obviously film, and I've found myself interested in aviation now. So it just kind of sparks that fuse up a little bit whenever you grab something that someone else is interested in, and then you pull it and you show them something new.
Exactly. Most pilots, most people in aviation are curious, and they want to see what's new, what's different, what's improving. We've seen tremendous changes since the Wright brothers flyer in 1903. How much aviation has changed from that first flight on December 17th, 1903. And most people forget that it was at 10:35 a.m. in the morning. And they flew 120 feet, 12 seconds. Orville flew that. Wilbur came up to him after the flight and he says, "That's not going to get you cross country. Let's push this thing back and try it again."
Yeah.
So aviation has started from that. 1783, the Montgolfier brothers were building hot air balloons, quite a bit different than what we currently have, because they didn't have any heat source on them. They built a fire underneath the envelope, got it envelope real hot, and then they cut the rope and up it went. When it cooled down it came.
Yeah.
Not very much control.
Right.
Today, look at all the jets that we have. Look at the number of people. A lot of people don't realize that in 1965, Boeing had on their drawing board a 2,000 passenger version of the 747, and they never built it. They couldn't get enough interest in it, and they couldn't get an insurance company to cover it. The first 747 flight, it took 10 insurance companies to cover that flight. Today, with the proven safety record, one insurance company does it. So things are changing rapidly, and you're going to be right on the forefront.
I will.
Media's changing too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's definitely grown a lot. Like, I don't know if anybody's seen like the new movies or like Insurgent. It's a series of Divergent. I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but I went and watched the movie, and I mean the things that you could do with just editing or like green screen and stuff like that is just crazy. Like they had parts like that looked like they were flying at you. I mean, there were little bits and pieces. It looked like people were, I mean, it was just insane. I was like, I walked out of there and I was like, those are amazing graphics. Kind of sound like a tech nerd, but it's okay. And I see that in aviation too. This is the 41st annual Sun and Fun Flying and Exposition. Well, I know that it has to have grown because I mean, who knows how many people there are. I went around the campus where all the RVs are, and I mean, there were at least, oh goodness, maybe at least, I don't even know. There were so many. It was huge. There were so many people. There were people sitting out right outside of their RV, just sitting in the chairs making phone calls like a regular day, and then they'd walk out and there'd be Sun and Fun. I mean, there were people in the RVs, and some people don't even camp there. So the amount of people that were in the RVs, and then the amount of people that don't even stay here on the campus. Or campus, it's not a school, oh well. Just blows my mind. I'm like, there are just so many people here. I never realized how big this was, and it's definitely had to have grown. I mean, it's huge.
Campus is a good term for this. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of learning. You were talking about all the campers. We have several campgrounds here, and we go from $250,000 motorhomes all the way down to a $20 pup tent. Everybody's here having a good time. They have no generator sections, so it's quiet at night. They have large sections that are just tent camping. Right. Everybody has a good time. And I've been here, this is my 19th year, and I have never seen a frown during Sun and Fun. Everybody's happy. How about you?
I am extremely happy. I'm really excited to be here. It is such a great time. One thing I think that's amazing is you get to look at the planes and you get to see the different parts, but whenever you actually walk out, you know, out of the building and through the campus and stuff like that, where you're not seeing all the different parts, there's actual planes, but you can look inside of them. It isn't necessarily really hands-on, but you can get like the full experience. Well, not really full experience, but like the full view of what like planes really look like whenever, not necessarily they're all in bits and pieces like in the museum, but you don't just see the outside, you get to see the inside too, because they open it, and I think that's cool. You can see the different designs of the planes. You know, there are some private jets, planes.
Yes.
Are there private planes? I don't know. There are some private jets out there where you can look through and see all these like different seats, and then like the little windows. And I mean, it's not huge, but it's kind of compact. But it was cool. I actually looked in it yesterday.
There's a lot of private jets here. All it takes is a little money. Well, maybe a lot of money.
Yeah.
Some of the old airplanes. Sun and Fun was originally started by EAA, the Experimental Aircraft Association. They're home builders. They built all kinds of airplanes. One of the things that the Central Florida Aviation Academy does is restore airplanes. There's a group of EAA members that teach the younger people, teenagers, how to rebuild airplanes, how to restore them back to original. Some of the airplanes here in the museum they've worked on. Some of the early airplanes, well, you know, they flew, but they weren't as safe as they are today. In fact, one of the safest airplanes in the system today is a Cessna 172, and it's a 4-place trainer, but it'll still do 135 miles an hour, and it'll get you across country.
Didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
Get you there just as good as a jet, just not quite as fast.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fun to fly. A lot of support's necessary. It used to be that for somebody that was working on the airplanes as a mechanic or a mechanic's helper, you ended up putting about 5 hours in for every hour it flew. Well, today the airplanes are much more maintenance free. Look at your cars today.
Yeah.
150,000 miles and all you do is change the oil. When I was a teenager, you had to take the car in every 3,000 miles, have the ignition points changed, the spark plugs cleaned because we used leaded fuel in those days, lubricate everything, and then make some adjustments all over the place. Now you just get in the car and drive, you don't think about it. And before you know it, you won't have to worry about getting in the car to drive. It'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Our airplanes today, we have what they call Category 3 airplanes. If you program it, the computer on a 747, you line it up on the runway, tell the computer to go, it will take off, climb out, go to altitude, fly across the Atlantic, make an approach, and land in Paris. And if ATC doesn't give you any changes, you never have to touch the computer. Of course, pilots are sitting there watching it. We do a lot of watching of lights and switches, but you're not going to get rid of pilots for a lot of years. When the automatic car comes out, everybody still isn't going to trust that thing.
Yeah.
They're going to watch it for a while, but it's becoming easier and easier. Some of the airplanes that we're building today, very, very easy to fly. The old Air Coupe, and there's one here on the campus, 2-place, uses a steering wheel, no rudder pedals. You steer it with your hands just like a car. Came out in 1946 after World War II. And it was going to be the every person's airplane. Well, they sold quite a few, but it never really took off. At one time in the 50s, we thought everybody's going to have an airplane in their backyard. Everybody's going to have a helicopter in the backyard. I guess from the FAA standpoint, it's a good thing we didn't, because then it'd be an absolute mess in the airspace. So what do you think about flying? Are you going to get into an airplane in the future?
I I sure hope I can. Hopefully I can muster up the courage. I've only been on a plane once, and that was to fly to Chicago last year. That was my first time ever flying, ever being in an airplane, ever going to an airport. And it was exciting. I enjoyed it. My ears popped. That felt a little funny, but I got used to it. I've never been, doing all those crazy flips or whatever in the plane. I've only been on an airplane. I've never really been in they're all called airplanes. How do I, the planes that you guys fly, like.
General aviation.
Yes. I've never really been on like a one-on-one plane flight. I've never driven a plane. Obviously, everyone better hope I haven't. We might be in trouble if I try to fly. But I do hope that I can get, a little experience. Maybe years later, I'll learn how to fly it. I'm a little nervous right now, even since the fact that I haven't even been in one yet. But I do hope that I can at least be in the passenger side and fly and look at the world from a different perspective.
Well, keep working with the Florida Aviation Network. As you hang around the airport, somebody will give you a flight one of these days. There's a Young Eagles program with the EAA where they take teenagers that don't fly, never been in an airplane. They give you a briefing and they give you about a 30-minute flight. And it's to expose people to aviation. The last time I looked up the statistics, less than 2% of the population are licensed pilots. But we know, unfortunately, when 9/11 happened and all the civilian aircraft were grounded, what a tremendous impact aviation has on this entire country. How much people and goods move by air. And of course, you're going to be in the media section.
Right.
And who knows, maybe you'll be in the media section of American Airlines or something like that, and you'll be talking about their programs and how to utilize the airlines better. Maybe you get a free ride on one.
Maybe. Man, if I were to get a free ride, I would go straight back to Chicago.
You want to go back to Chicago?
I do.
Well, I don't know that I ever want to go back to Chicago. It's a terrible airline terminal. There's 1 million people in that thing running back and forth. But it's a lot of fun.
It's very cold,
So,
too.
Brianna, thank you very much for joining us and helping us celebrate the 41st anniversary of Sun and Fun. And thank you for joining us with the Florida Aviation Network. Thank you for joining us, and excuse me, thought just went. Thank you for being here at Sun and Fun, and I hope that if you're not here this time, you can make it next year.